and everyone that is here tonight. Welcome to the IMAPA US Canada's workshop. So tonight's workshop is all about computer networking and cybersecurity. So my name is Joshua, and for the next hour or so, we're going to hear from our amazing guest speaker about his career, experience, and maybe some thoughts about the field of cybersecurity in the present and the future. So before we start, I would like to lay some ethics and maybe some rules to regulate our event. So first, please mute yourself during the presentation and only speak when allowed. And if possible, turn on your video to respect our speaker. And just for your information, this event is also being streamed live on YouTube. Also, if you want to ask questions, please post it in the chat column in Zoom or YouTube, and we'll make sure to address them later. Okay, so without further ado, let's start our event tonight with prayer. And to lead us in prayer, I'll welcome Brother Erpin Waga. So for Erpin, please, the time is yours.
All right, guys, let's pray. Heavenly Father, we are so thankful for this moment that have given to us, all the students and from all over the world. In the name of Jesus Christ, before we start our workshop, we bring all our activities, the speakers and on all of us who are going to listen, so that things goes the way you want it to be. In the name of Jesus Christ, we bring everything to you, so you can bless us and lead us, get us through all we gonna go through. In the name of Jesus Christ, we pray and we bring this to you. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Brother Erpin. And now I want to give an opportunity for Yeki-san to give us some opening remarks. For Yeki, please, the time is yours.
Okay, thank you, Maria Chua, for leading up the host and for our workshop. And also, hi everybody. Thank you for joining us. And to Kakhendra, thank you. Hope you're doing well and in this difficult time. Everybody else, our brothers and sisters from the States. I know you are very busy with the classes and final exams, but thank you for joining us for the workshop. And hopefully you can learn something new that we never heard. A few things from the Kakhendra. So just want to thank you and welcome to the workshop.
Okay, thank you, Yeki, for the remark. So now let us start with our main event. So our amazing speaker tonight is Kaka Hendrawan. Kaka Hendra is a cybersecurity professional working for a major financial institution. His academic achievements include a host of cybersecurity certificates, 2 bachelor's degrees, and an MBA. While business strategy, technology, and cybersecurity are his main passions, he enjoys public speaking, mentoring, and storytelling. So to stay active, he also plays tennis and goes to the gym. So for Kaka Hendra, please welcome. The time is yours.
So, hi everyone. Thanks for having me. It's been, I think it's a pleasure for me to be able to share some of my career journey with you, and hopefully there's something that you can learn. I'm not perfect to begin with, but what I have been taught is to always try and be consistent and be persistent is what you're doing. And eventually, I think it has worked for me quite well in terms of how I manage my career over this time. So for tonight, I'm going to basically share 3 key points for the agenda. If we have time, we'll have some Q&A, and hopefully I'll be able to answer some of your questions. The first thing I would like to talk about is my career journey. So to give you some idea of what kind of works and what kind of experience has shaped my career in so far for the past 20 to 25 years, then I'm going to speak with you a little bit about the perspective on the opportunities in Indonesia from from what I have learned, from what I have read, and from what I have observed going forward. I believe you are all in the perfect time to actually go back to Indonesia and make some impact, either personally, professionally, and for the country as well. I will also touch a little bit on how to create or develop a business plan, and hopefully that will give you some idea what are required, what are important in having a business that you can continue to not only to make profits financially, but also to have social impact and to have something that you can leave behind and something that you are proud of. Now, if we can go to the next slide, let me give you a little bit about my career journey. I started at York University as a student. I came to Canada in 1993. I had to do 1 year of high school. Then after that, I got accepted to York University. That was my first time going to school in Canada. My first job came in 1995, where I was asked to work as a lab assistant. So I work in a computer lab. The job was simple. I was paid by the hour, and all I have to do is answer computer questions. For a computer science student, that was easy because back then, not a lot of people understand computer really well. Not like you guys. Today, you are very proficient in using a computer because computer has been something that is embedded and you are born with it. But back then, it brought a lot of challenges to people who have never seen a computer before. So that was my first taste in working in this country, so in Canada. 3 years after, I got a full-time position. I was more into a tech support role. So pretty much I had to help someone over the phone, trying to help them with similar issues, mostly computer issues. I also had a little bit uh, of of a gig in software development because my background is computer science. So that is a natural transition from tech support to do some of the programming work. And I managed to write a few application, which was useful for the company at that time. Around the same time, I got my Bachelor of Science degree in computer science from York University, and it has allowed me to grow my career in a meaningful way. Around 2001, I was introduced to cybersecurity, which is the profession that I have hold on so far. And also around that time, I completed my second degree in a Bachelor of Art in Information System. At that time, I could see that computer science was very technical, but then when I was completing my information system degree, I learned that there's also a business side to IT. It's not just technical. And that was just my first taste on trying to see IT a little bit from a business perspective. At that time, I was also learning cybersecurity, and it was quite an interesting field. It was growing. I could see a lot of potential, and I basically just put my entire effort into learning this field and try to get better. Then comes 2019, after almost 20 years in the industry, working for York University, I transitioned from a public sector, which is in a higher education institution, and I left and I work for a bank. So currently, I'm working for CIBC, and as of I made the transition last year in 2019. So, and around this time, actually this year in 2020, I managed to complete my master my MBA, my master degree in business administration, and it also and I have learned something more about business that also applicable to the IT industry. So as you can tell, my career journey is never going to school, and after school I work. Most of the time I'm working and I go to school. So either I go to school part time, and either I go to school full time and work part time, or I go to school or I work full time and I go to school part time. So the last degree that I got in the MBA that I just graduated, I actually work full time and I went to school part time in the evening. I'm not sure what's going to happen after this going forward. I hope that is something meaningful and something fun, cool title, good pay, good job, and hopefully I can also contribute something to the industry. So that is my career journey. I guess if there is something I can share with you from this particular topic, is that I don't want you to think that you always have to finish school first and get a job. I think it is acceptable, or it is actually beneficial for you to work at the same time as you go to school. If the opportunity presents itself that you can work and go to school, I think you should take it. But I have to say that it's going to be harder when you are doing that, because you will have less time to hang out with your friends. You'll have less time to to actually uh, to actually do many things. You will have a lot of commitments. You have to find times to do your assignments, and you have to go to work. So it's not easy to balance the two things at the same time. But then I think it's very rewarding, because as you graduate, you already have the experience necessary for you to actually get get a job that is not at the entry level, but you can get a job at an immediate level. And when you go to an interview, if not only that, if you have more than just your degree, you put yourself ahead of a lot of other people who simply have the degree and do not have any work experience. So you will, if I can leave you something with respect to this, is the fact that you should work at the same time going to school, if possible. If you are allowed to do so, then you should do it. I don't see any reason why you would want not to do it. It's not that you don't have any life. You will still have some weekends that you can spend time with friends, but at the same time, the benefit of working while you are at school will pay dividends later in your career. Now, a little bit about cybersecurity. Cybersecurity has something to do with it's very challenging work, but at the same time, it's a very rewarding work. Cybersecurity is not just catching hackers or trying to hack a system. It has many domains, and at the same time, it's very tied to IT system, because a lot of time it has to do with risk. Is how you secure an IT system. It's not you just secure one system, but sometimes you secure an ecosystem, or a list of different systems trying to connect to each other, and how you can make sure that the system has maintained a certain level of confidentiality. That means if you have some important information, you can protect it, like top secret information. And at the same time, you also have to make sure that the system is working well, and that, and also you have to make sure that the entire system can work seamlessly. Let me give you an example. So cybersecurity deals with three pillars. So the first pillar is confidentiality. Confidentiality means you have to protect the information. Let's say if the information is important and it's confidential, you have to make sure that it's not leaked, or it's not accidentally leaked or purposely leaked or stolen by the hacker, right? Let me give you an example of confidential information. Let's say you come to Canada and then you are trying to send an email to your professor that has personal information. That means it's between you and your professor. So that information is confidential to you. It should not be shared publicly. So that means one of the job of an information security professional is to make sure that the system can uphold the confidentiality of the information. Does that make sense so far? Okay. The other pillar or the other area where cybersecurity is concerned about has to do with integrity. Integrity means if I send money to you, if I send $100 to you, that means you should receive $100. Because if I send $100 and then you receive $90 because something happened to the system, then the integrity is not there, and that means the system is not trustworthy, and we cannot allow that to happen. So cybersecurity ensure that the system communicate or the system keep a record that has to have a certain level of integrity built in. So if a hacker managed to compromise a system and they steal the data, for example, then the confidentiality is lost. Now, if the hacker can change the system to make sure that you cannot track him down or track her down, that means the integrity has been compromised. Now, the last part is availability. Availability has to do with the system being available. For example, if you want to buy, if you want to shop at Amazon.com or Amazon.ca, you want to make sure that the system is available, right? You don't want to go into Amazon.com and then the system is down. So that is pretty straightforward when it comes to that. So cybersecurity ensures that when you have a system, the system should always be available to make sure that it can do what it's supposed to do. So at a very high level, that is cybersecurity. Yes, it does with a lot of IT. And to get into cybersecurity, you need to have some understanding of computers. You need to have some IT background. But I have also seen people who do not have strong IT background, they work really hard and they manage to get into cybersecurity. So I will stop there for a second and see if you have any questions. Any questions on cybersecurity? No? All right, Joshua, should we move to the next topic?
Okay.
So what's the next topic, Joshua? Do we
Are you gonna finish the presentation or just like just ask?
We can go into we can talk about business plan, or we can talk about the way I see opportunities in Indonesia. But should we go to topic number 2?
So maybe, yeah. So topic number 2, I guess this is more related to the business side of things.
Okay.
So I think some of the friends here might interested in starting their own startups or business later after they graduated. So
Okay.
maybe you can give us some insights on things that we need to prepare in terms of skills to be able to do that. So
Okay. So I guess let's take some questions to see if there are certain areas where they are interested in listening to or in hearing about. So Manuel Hatzelo, you have been listening really hard. I'm wondering if you have any questions.
I actually I get a question from cybersecurity.
Okay.
So, for example, me as a regular people, why cybersecurity is important for me?
Okay.
Like I hear you say it, like it's more general, so I'm asking about like specific, like for example me, if like how it's important, like cybersecurity for like the regular people.
Okay. Important for you as a consumer or important for you as a career decision?
Consumer.
Okay. Why is important for you? That's a great question. That's a really great question. So I think this tie into the next topic where I see Indonesia being, or Asia being the leaders in payment industry. Let me give you an example. So right as of today, in many years ago, we used to exchange money, right? When I buy something, I actually take out my wallet and I pay you in cash. Maybe in Indonesia, it still happens a lot. I'm sure it still happens a lot. When you pay, you have to have a wallet and you have to have cash, and that is the mode of that is the payment model at this point. But then in a more advanced economies, so for example, China, United States, and Canada, or a lot of countries in Europe, paper money is not as popular anymore. It still works, but it's not as popular. So in China, they have Alipay, they have WeChat Pay, and then in North America, especially in Canada, Apple Pay is very popular, and we have Google Pay. So that kind of payment, it doesn't involve paper money, right? It doesn't. We call it the fiat money. It doesn't involve fiat money, but the value and the money will exchange because of the technology that is supporting it. Make sense so far? And to make sure that this kind of payment works well, that means if I say I'm going to pay you $100, that means $100 will be taken out of my account and it will be deposited into your account. So to make sure that it happens properly, cybersecurity is important, because cybersecurity protects the hacker from stealing money out of your mobile phone, right? And it also protects it also makes sure that the transaction is done properly. That means if I give you $100, you will get $100 as soon as possible. So there is no discrepancy in terms of why is my account getting credited for $200, but the goods that I buy out of the merchants is only $100. So that's where cybersecurity becomes important. And the other thing is, when you have a business conversation, for example, you have a meeting, a big meeting, you talk about a very important business idea, that if somebody has access to that idea, they will go and make a lot of money. So that means supposedly it's your idea and you are the one that can make a lot of money. But if somebody has access to that information, the other person will make a lot of money. So it's not good for you, right? So that means this conversation is top secret for you and the people you trust, or for the partners who are going to do business with you. Now, the exchange of information no longer happens verbally. The exchange of information today happens over the internet. It happens over the internet. It is an email or WhatsApp chat, or it happens over some sort of technology infrastructure. So when that happens, it has to be secure. And to secure that information, or the exchange of the communication that happens between you and the people who are supposed to know the information, the top secret information, that's where cybersecurity is important. Without cybersecurity, the hackers can come in, steal the information, and actually sell it. Another good example has to do with, remember when Hillary Clinton was running for president, a Russian hacker managed to hack into her system, change many things, and then steal a lot of information, and actually had an adverse impact on her campaign, right? The Russian hacker actually hacked Hillary Clinton's computer system. So because that is a failure in cybersecurity on Hillary Clinton's part. Because if she actually invests money in securing her system, then that incident would not have happened. Does that make sense? Okay.
Yes, thank you.
No problem. So what's next on the agenda?
So I think there's some question from the Zoom chat.
Okay.
So this is from the Zoom chat is gray hat. What are some of the free tools of cybersecurity? Oh, what are of the free tools cybersecurity students has to learn or be familiar with?
That's a great question. There are many tools that you can learn, and there are many tools that allows you to be a good cybersecurity practitioner or professional. In my days, I use Nmap, and one of my other favorite tools is also Nessus. But then you don't really have to know the tool to actually be a good cybersecurity professional. My view is that it's more important for you to actually understand the concept, because once you understand the concept and learning the tools, it will become much easier. That's one. The second thing about knowing the tools or the program is that it changes all the time, right? Technology changes. Today, for example, today you use iPhone 3, tomorrow you will use iPhone 4, the same with Samsung, the same with PlayStation. It always have a new one coming out. So that means tools change all the time, but the principles remain the same. So that means if you have to protect top secret information, it doesn't matter what tools you use, you have to protect top secret information. And the principle will stay for as long as the industry is still relevant to business. So I share two tools, and it's Nmap and Nessus. You can have a look if you like. But then my advice is to actually understand the principle of cybersecurity really well, because when you go for a job, usually the interviewer asks about the principle that underlies cybersecurity. If you talk about tools, chances are they will not. It's a good addition if you understand the concept, but if you don't understand the concept, knowing the tools are not going to help you. But it's good to know the tools as well. So don't let. I mean, it's good to know both, but at the same time, I think I would put more emphasis on the core concepts.
So understanding the concept is it's more important, right?
I think it is. In anything that you do, I'm sure you are studying business. You probably study design. You probably study I don't know, economics, social politics, communication. You always have to understand the basic principle and the concept. Because if you don't understand the concept, it's really hard for you to actually build on top. Concept is like the foundation of the knowledge that you have. And with that foundation, with a strong foundation, it allows you to build on top of those foundations on really cool stuff, right? So keep that in mind as you finish your school, and make sure that you understand the concept well. And if you have extra time, by all means, learns about the tools and learns about the industry, learns about the people who can help you understand the concept better.
Okay, I think there's a follow-up question regarding the same question from the same user. So the question is, do you build the system to protect, or is it already there?
I don't really get what you're trying to say, but let me try to understand what you're saying or what you're asking. Do I build a system to protect? It's system is system, and it depends on which system. For example, if you have a computer running Mac, if you have an Apple computer, the system is already there, right? Typically, there are additional system on top that company will invest. For example, if you have a Windows system or you have a Mac system at home, then you buy antivirus software, right? Now, one is a regular system, or I call it the operating system, and the other one is a security system or application that you put on top of your existing system. And what does it do? It protects your computer from getting infected with a virus. Now, it's not always there. Some security system is built in. For example, if you have if you buy an Apple laptop and if you buy an IBM laptop with Windows 10 installed, it comes with built-in security system. So you don't have to invest extra money to actually buy security system to protect it. But at the same time, the market also offer you extra system that you can use to have even a better protection. So you have the basic protection and you can always spend more money to get a better protection. So we have another question. In order to learn cybersecurity, what operating system is great to easy to start learning? I started with an operating system called Linux, but then over time, as a cybersecurity professional, I think it's more important to understand the concept again, because the operating system should be agnostic to you. That means you should not be an expert in Linux or an expert on Windows and an expert in Mac OS, because what happens is you are going to limit your career growth. For example, nowadays, a lot of the IT system is using cloud technology. Anybody knows what cloud technology? Cloud technology is like Amazon Web Service, Azure, Microsoft Azure, and then Google Cloud. That means, let me give you an example. Nowadays, if you want to share a document, in the old days, you need to build a system in the office where you can put a document in there, and then your coworker will come and get the document and view it, right? Now you don't. The new technology is in the cloud. So that means if I want to share some files, I can use Google Doc or Google Drive. I'll put it in, Google will take care of the system. I'll just put it there, and then you can get the file and the document. So that means there is no system somewhere within IMAPA, for example, or if you are in the office, there's no big, we still have some big system, but nowadays the technology is moving towards cloud. And cloud, when you are dealing with cloud computing, the understanding of operating system become less relevant, because you don't even know what operating system they use. But it's good to understand Linux and it's good to understand Windows, because those two are the basic operating system which are still relevant today in either in cybersecurity or in IT.
Interesting. Is there any other questions about the cybersecurity? I have another question, if you don't mind. So,
Yeah,
what are the some of the common cyber attacks?
Some common cyber attacks. There are many common cyber attacks, but for example, attacks which are relevant to you as a consumer, again, going back to the previous question. For example, have you heard of Equifax? Anybody know what Equifax is? So Equifax is a credit check company. So that means if you go apply for a credit card, and if you go apply for a bank account, if you're trying to buy a house and trying to get some loan, if you're trying to buy a car, and the car is on credit, that means you have to pay every month from your bank. The companies will do a credit check on you. That means they'll make sure that your credit history is good. But if your credit history is bad, they are not going to give you that money or that loan. Now, where did they go to check and get all that information? There are two places which they can go and check. First is the Equifax, it's a company, and the second place is called TransUnion, which is also a credit score company. What happened was Equifax was hacked, and then millions and millions of information about your credit history, your date of birth, and your social security number, or in Canada, social insurance number, has been out in the wild. So that means anybody can pretend to be you go and borrow some money and not paying back, and you will be responsible for it. So that is bad. So that's a bad hack. About several years ago, Sony PlayStation was hacked. So all these, your username and password from Sony PlayStation was actually, and credit card information actually got released into the underground. So to give you some idea, it was so bad that a lot of people got a new credit card replaced, the number replaced. So it was in the millions of dollars. At the same time, from a business perspective, it also affect the stock price of Sony. Just because the PlayStation network was hacked by a hacker, and it also affect the motion pictures where they make movies, and it also affect a lot of other. It affects the umbrella company that owns PlayStation, because PlayStation is only a subset of what Sony's product, right? They make TV. They used to make laptops called Vaio, and I'm sure they make movies because there are a lot of Sony Pictures movie out there. But then just because the PlayStation network was compromised, the entire company had to suffer. And not only that, a lot of people had to suffer because now you get a new credit card, and what happened is there is a charge on your credit card that you did not use. Right? All of a sudden they say you spend $1,000 on something that you're not aware of. So that is bad. So it affects the consumer. So that is another example of a really bad compromise.
That's interesting. So we have another question. So in your opinion, how easy it is to for average computer users to get hacked?
That's a great question. I think the most important part that you want to keep in mind has to do with, for example, you have a computer, right? You shop all the time, and the most common attacks these days is something called a phishing attack. Phishing attack means they sent you an email saying that, please click on this link and you can win a lottery, or click on this link, you get a UPS parcel. So you want to be careful with that, because those are all fake. And when you click on the link, often it brings you to a website where it has a virus, and then that virus will infect your computer. So that is, if you pay attention, it's not easy. But if you don't pay attention and you just click on every link that comes at you, then I guess it's probably easier for the attackers to actually compromise your system. Now, the other attack that I have been hearing about is it has something to do with people calling you saying that, hi, I'm from so and so government agency, and you are getting audited, or you are being charged with a fraud, and be careful not to give your information out there. It's very important.
So it's interesting that we cannot really trust anything, right? Like any links, any call-ins, or anything like that.
I guess, and one thing that I always tell people is to actually change your password often. For example, you have a bank account, right? But often you keep the same password for your bank account, and you keep the same password for your Gmail, and you keep the same password for your Amazon.com shopping channel, and then you keep the same password for a lot of others online system. Now that is okay because it's easy to remember. It becomes a problem when one of the site is hacked. For example, you keep a password on Yeki.com, which sell some product, and then Yeki.com get hacked. So that means the hacker can use the same email address and password to log into your Google account, and he can use the same username and password to log into your bank account and actually send money or steal your money. My advice is to always have multiple accounts. Multiple password for different accounts.
Thank you for the tip.
Yeah, that's good.
Is there anything else? Any questions from the audience regarding the technical cybersecurity stuff? If not, maybe I have one more before we jump into maybe like a future projections on cybersecurities and stuff. So I heard things about like cryptography. So how is it different than cybersecurity, or like what is it about?
Are you talking about the Bitcoin stuff, or just or just encryption in general? Because
I think
cryptography.
just the encryption in general.
Okay, encryption is a way to protect confidentiality. Confidentiality, which I mentioned earlier, is to make sure that the information is secure, right? Secure. Like if you have a top secret information, you want to make sure that it's secure. Encryption is a way of protecting that information. So encryption has to do with taking that information and then run it through some sort of a process, and then for people who don't understand what the process is, they don't know what the message is all about. So has any of you watched the movie called The Imitation Game?
Yes.
Yeah, you have to watch. What do you know what happened in The Imitation Game? Like, what is the project is all about?
I mean, I watched it a long time ago. But...
Yeah, okay. So in that movie, what happened was it was during World War II, right? So it was during World War II. So that means the German was fighting the Allies. The Allies were the United States and the UK. The German has a system when they send a message, they encrypt it. So that means when the ally got the message, they don't understand what it says because it's encrypted. So in the movie, they were trying to build a system that will decrypt the message that the German sends to each other, the message that they communicate. So when encryption is to make sure the message is not readable, decryption is the other process to make sure that the message becomes readable again. So in the movie, The Imitation Game, they are actually working on a machine that can decrypt the message that the German communicates to each other. So that's the entire movie. So that's encryption for you. Because the German always encrypts the message when they send to each other to make sure that it's protected. They don't want the allies to know when they are going to attack, where they are going to attack, and how they are going to attack. So they encrypt the message. And then in the movie, they finally found out a way to decrypt the message. So they knew then when they are going to attack, how they are going to attack, and where they were going to attack. So that is the encryption is actually really, really old. It's not new, but then it is part of cybersecurity.
That is interesting. Yeah, thank you for that. And also, like, if anybody hasn't watched the movie, it's a great movie. So maybe one last question. There's a question on the chat. This is the interesting one. Is it true that the government is watching us?
Is it true that the government is watching us? Actually, everybody is watching us. Let me tell you. Let me give you an example. If you go on Google today and you start searching on PlayStation 5, right? Or if you go shopping on Zara, for example, then when you go to Facebook, you get a lot of the Zara commercial because Google is watching you. So that means everybody is watching you. Is it true that the government is watching? The government doesn't even have to watch you, because if they really need your information, they will go to Google and say, give me information about Yaki, give me information about Hendra. They will know what you like, and then you use Google Map, right? So they know where you are at which time. And then you also use Gmail, so they know when you are going on a vacation. If you buy a ticket to Indonesia, they know everything. So is it true that the government is watching? Well, everybody's watching. It doesn't really matter. But it's better for the government to watch because you elect the government, right? You vote for the people who are in the government. So if they are watching, at least their job is to protect you. But if the company is watching, I'm not sure if they are really inclined to protect your information. They will sell it to other people. So Google will sell that data to Zara, and then Zara will use it to sell you products.
Yeah, that's true. um, yeah, it's really interesting. So, okay, so I think we can move on to the next topic. Maybe could you share a little bit about what do you think about the projection in cybersecurity, maybe the jobs in Indonesia or even in the US, so people who maybe interested in this field can have some ideas about this field.
Okay, good. So first of all, I did some research before this conversation. If you go to back to my slide, slide number 5, basically what happened is, like I mentioned earlier, the future is on cashless economy, right? So that means money will no longer be transact on a paper base. It will be electronic. Then it will be IT. But I don't want you to feel that just because you are not in IT or you are not in cybersecurity, you will not find a job easily, because that is not true. When you're going to launch a product, for example, you need someone from cybersecurity, you need someone from the business side to actually estimate the profit and to take care of a lot of other stuff, and you need people in sales to go sell the product. But what's important is to understand where the world is going, and to see where your skill is going to get you the job and actually make an impact. So slide number 5, which is the next slide, you see that this is what McKinsey, which is one of the best consulting company, has done some research, and they are going to predict what is going to happen in Asia. So that means everything is connected, right? It will be, if you look at the top right corner, it says cross-border links. That means people can now buy stuff online, and we don't have to know where the product is coming from or where the goods is coming from. If I buy something, it can come from China, it can come from Indonesia, it doesn't matter, but I buy it online. Because now, so that means it's cross-border links, right? And it's cashless, so that means you don't even worry about money, because when you buy something on Amazon.com, they will just go into your credit card or your bank account and take the money out. And it will be contactless. That means in the future, you will use your phone a lot to actually pay for the merchandise that you buy. So these are the things that I think where the future of IT is going. But if you are in business, and if you are in IT, and if you are even if you are in communication, I think you all have great opportunities coming at you. Now let's look at the differences. In Canada and US, is called the developed economies. That means for things to change is a little bit harder. But in Asia, which is Indonesia, China, they are called the emerging economies. So that means they always have new stuff coming out. They always have exciting stuff coming out, and with the innovations always on high gears, I think jobs will come and go faster, and opportunities to grow will be much better. Like I said, all of you are in the perfect time to actually graduate from here and then go back to Indonesia and find a great job. It will be exciting, it will pay well, and hopefully you can also have some impact beyond just money to your community, to your island. For example, Papua is a nice island, and then to the country in general. Now, if we go back to one slide back, look at this slide. This is an interesting slide. If you look at the table, right? Column number 2, it says employment in 2014 in millions. Look at the education level. If you, especially secondary, if you have a secondary school, you 56.4% on the labor market is actually hiring people from the secondary school graduate. But if you look at 2014 and beyond, 2014 and 2030, look at the percentage on column 1, 2, 3, 4. On column 4, where do you think the best job will go to? 66% is from advanced degree, right? 52% is from a college degree, and 40% is from associate degree. Associate degree means you learn some trade. For example, like how to fix an automobile, and how to service an air condition, and that kind of knowledge, or educational or occupational knowledge. Now, so you can see the shift from 2014 forward. So that means when you go, now it's 2020. Since 2020 it's a year of pandemic, nothing happened in 2020. So we are looking at 2021. So I'm not sure when you will graduate, but then if you look at this study from McKinsey, I think you are in the sweet spot to actually have like a really good career journey as soon as you graduate. So this is good for you. This is good news for you.
That's really interesting.
Yeah. So what other questions do you have? If you want to know more, you can Google McKinsey. It's a great. They have great articles. They do great research, and you can educate yourself, and you can see what will happen to you in many years to come. Next question.
Is there any question from the audience?
Yes, from Mario Nico. It's in the chat.
Oh, okay. Yeah, from Nico. The question is, can a computer get cyber attack while in offline mode or not connected to the internet?
The answer is no. The answer is no, but then it's really hard to have a device, a computer, for example, that is not connected to the internet these days. Because the minute you turn your computer on, it will be connected to the internet. It will look for the closest Wi-Fi connection, and then it will connect to it. You will have Bluetooth turned on, right, automatically, and then it will be connected. So to hack a system that is offline, no, it's not easy. It's almost impossible. But to get the system offline all the time is also not easy. Like what good is a cell phone that is not connected when there is no signal? It's not a cell phone. It's just a piece of brick.
Right. Yeah, that's true. Interesting. Okay. Any other questions? So I think I have a question. What do you think is the trend of cybersecurity nowadays? Like I know a lot of people starting doing some fintech. Is there other things that you think kind of like a trends today and maybe in the future as well?
Okay, I think fintech is one of the growing field in not in cybersecurity, but in general. I mean, it's one of the fastest growing field in our industry. For example, because fintechs come from the history of fintechs, or the background come from the fact that in the financial industry or in the financial sector, most of the financial transaction or the infrastructure belongs to the banks, right? The big banks, they take care of the infrastructure and they make a lot of money out of it. For example, if you want to send money to Indonesia, or if your parents are going to send you money, what happens is they have to go to the bank, and the bank takes a commission, right? So they take a commission, and then there is no other way that you can send money other than going to the bank. But with fintech, what they are trying to do is they are trying to bypass the big banks as much as possible. There have been a few products which are very promising. For example, you can send money now to Indonesia or the other way around without going through the bank. You can use, for example, PayPal, right? PayPal has a product called Zoom, and you can use Zoom to send money from your iPhone or from your cell phone from Indonesia to here. You still deposit the money to the bank, and you still take the money out of the bank, but then the transaction does not go through the bank anymore. It goes through a smaller company, and those smaller companies are fintech company. Another example of fintech company, which I think is doing really well, is called Kiva. Kiva is based on the idea that if you need to run a business, you have to go borrow money from the bank, right? And often, if you don't have any background, if your company is not well known, it's really hard to get a loan, even though you have great business idea. So what happened is Kiva is called the micro lending company. So that means they will lend you a small amount of money, and then you can start your business, and hopefully you make money and you pay back. So the interest is usually smaller, and then you don't have to go through a lot of hassle or paperwork or administrative work to actually get your loan. So that is enabled by Kiva, which I think is a fintech company. In Canada, there is something called the Lending Loop. It's doing the same thing. I think a lot of these companies are already happening. In Indonesia, there are a few of them that is trying to have a micro lending company. I think it's a great idea, because if in Indonesia, if you think about this, if you think of the fact Kiva, let's go back one step. Kiva was very popular in Africa. Why? Because there are so many people who could not access loan. They could not get loans from the bank because they were just small farmers. They have smaller business, so they could not establish a relationship with the bank. So it was really difficult for them to actually get a loan to grow the business, although they are amazingly good business people. So in Indonesia, I haven't seen any fintech company that is doing well. But if you can, for example, if you can build a micro lending company, right? I lend you $100. You go, buy some chicken, and then you grow your farm, make some money. I make some profit because I lend you money, but then you also make some profit and grow your business. So it's a win-win situation. I think this micro lending services company, a fintech, has a lot of promise for the future. So you should, if you're thinking of opening your own business, I think micro lending is definitely an idea that you should entertain.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Okay, any other questions?
Yes, I get one question. Yeah. So I've heard about the data leakage. So, but I still don't understand it. So could you explain more about the data leakage and how can we detect the data leakage in our system, and how should we respond to it, data leakage? And then the second one is a little bit creepy, but have you seen the movie of Snowden?
Edward Snowden? I haven't seen the movie, but before it became the movie, I was following the news a little bit.
So is it actually true that the government can spy us using like the camera on the mobile phone or laptop, even though the laptop is like shut down and everything?
The answer is yes.
Oh shit. All right, thank
Yeah.
you.
Not the government, but actually anybody can hack your system, and then when they manage to compromise your system, they can do whatever they want, right? They can move your mouse, they can actually turn on your camera without you knowing it. They can even log into your bank account and take your money. So it's really important to make sure that you keep your system secure. But nowadays, the advance of technology, and for example, a question which was relevant earlier, basically, uh, computers now come with basic security, right? So if you have your antivirus installed, if you keep separate password for separate account, then I think you are pretty much at a higher bar in terms of personal cybersecurity. So data leakage, going back to your question, data leakage has to do with how, going back to the same example, Equifax, basically they leak a lot of data out. That is data leakage. They leak all the confidential data, the personal information, which is your social security number, your credit card number, and they leak it out. In Indonesia, I think the word is bocor, right? So that is data leakage. Did that answer your question, Manuel?
Yes.
Okay. Interesting. It's been interesting discussion. Any other questions from the audience? Um, if not, let's see. I have a question, but this is like I see that you have an MBA.
Yeah, I do.
Why like I guess why did you decide to have an MBA, like to take an MBA?
That's a great question. I think the way I look at career growth, it's for me, and I think it generally applies to many people as well. You don't have to always follow what I'm doing, but then this is my view on how I grow my career. Has to do with you. You study something, right? In my case, I studied computer science. I did not even think about cybersecurity, and eventually I got into cybersecurity. I learned about cybersecurity, and then I realized that is not enough. And I found that business is also very interesting, not just cybersecurity. For example, I learned about the fintech company. I learned about many other business info knowledge from the fact that I started to get into business. I think business is important. I think any knowledge is important. Now, the trouble is to pick which one to study first, right? So if the way I look at it is, I happened to study computer, I loved it, but at some point you have to grow. I have to grow. So when you have to grow, then you can pick something else that you believe is going to complement what you already have. In my opinion, and in my career, I believe the business knowledge, especially and the degree that comes with it, allows me to take cybersecurity to the next level. That's why I study business. So if you study business, for example, once you graduate, you can always pick something that allows you to take your career to the next level. The way I look at it is never stop learning, because the minute you stop learning, that's when your career stops growing. And I know it's not easy, especially as you get older. It's harder for you to actually going back to school and then learn, but never stop learning, because the minute you stop learning, you will be left behind. You will have a job, but then your job at some point will be obsolete, and then it will be hard for you to find some meaning and the passion to continue to do what you do, because everything gets boring at some point, right? Cybersecurity will get boring, business will get boring, finance will get boring, but then but then it's the continuous learning that allows you to continue to earn more money and to have more impact, whether it's for you personally or for the people around you. So if you want to know why I from cybersecurity and I went to do my MBA, it's because I believe to do better at cybersecurity, to take it to the next level, I need some business knowledge, and I went to do my MBA.
Yeah, thank you, Kak. Let's see. Anybody else want to ask questions? About cybersecurity, about business? Okay, I think I have like one last questions, maybe from you, Kak, and then we can close. Could you give us some, I guess, some motivations for us to basically pursue our passions? I think you demonstrated greatly to us about pursuing your passions and then doing a great job with it. So can you give us some motivations and words?
Oh, okay. Why not? So, yeah, I can do that. The most important thing is, I think not everybody is built the same, right? Some people is good in art. Some people is good. Some people are good in communication. Some people are good in technical. Some people are good in math. Some people are good in painting. Some people are good in playing music. I think they are all important. And the first thing that you should know is you need to have a passion about what you do. That's the most important thing. Because whatever you do, it's going to get hard. There is no such thing which is easy. So if it's easy, everybody will be successful. So so if you love music, if you love cybersecurity, or if you love finance, make sure that you put a lot of effort in learning the field that you love. And I can guarantee you at some point it's not going to be fun, but if you don't have the passion, my concern is you will quit. So if you have the passion, then you can continue doing it. Now the other thing is, which is also equally important, is to continue to grow, right? Continue to grow means just because you do not feel that you are good enough. Some people think that they are good enough. The minute they are, for example, they produce one album in music, they become popular, and then they stop creating music. They stop writing music. Or people who or for example, in sport, someone who gets the first place, he's a champion for 1 year, but then he's no longer a champion for the next year and the year after, because he believes that, or she believes that is good enough. So those kind of people, I don't consider them successful, because success takes a lot of effort. So the one of the key things to keep you motivated and to keep you always going back and put in the work that is required is the passion that drives you. The other one, which I believe is equally important, is purpose. Don't just do this for yourself. So, and I see a lot of people only concerned about money. Like, I make more money and it feel good. Now, at some point, just doing it for yourself, when there is no meaning or there is no purpose, eventually you will get tired of it and you will stop growing. I see a lot of people who are concerned about themselves only when they choose a profession. They choose it because it's cool. So then at some point they quit, and then they choose something else, which is also cool, and then they quit after. So, and these kind of people usually do not have enough. They don't put in enough time and enough effort. So when they don't do that, you don't see these people being successful. So keep in mind that, if you want to keep going, it's not going to be easy. There will be times where you will feel that you don't want to continue anymore, and I think usually that only happens especially before you reach the finish line. That is always the hardest. I think in my personal experience, it's always the last push that was the hardest. And after that, then you either get rewarded for what you have been doing, or you achieve your goal. But it's always the last mile that was the hardest. And the last mile was actually the most important things in achieving your goal, because because it's the hardest, and it brings the best. It actually gives you the best satisfaction after you achieve your goal. So I think you have to put into a perspective, where do you want to be, and you have to always listen to yourself at the same time, right? Uh, the challenge that we have today is we don't. It's really hard for you. It's really hard for us to figure out what is good and what is bad, because sometimes you look at Instagram posts, there are a lot of people who think that, this is cool, but then they spend a lot of time, and then the next month there's something else that is cool, and then they spend a lot of time doing that. And I don't think that is wise. It's not only me who is saying that. Based on the research, I think for you to achieve a level of mastery, you have to spend around 10,000 hours. There is a study who says that you need to spend 10,000 hours practicing before you can be considered a master or reach a mastery level. So, so imagine how many years you have to spend practicing your craft before you can actually benefit out of it. So you have to ask yourself tough question every time. What do you really want out of it? And uh, usually the things that keeps you going is your passion and the purpose, and what are you why you are doing it, and what are you doing it for. Those two questions always helps when the going get tough. Does that make sense?
All right. Thank you so much, Kak Hendrawan. I think this is really beneficial for us. It's been a great discussion about cybersecurity and some motivation from you. I'm sure that we all here get something out of it, and hopefully we can make an impact back to our country, Indonesia, and also Papua especially. So thank you so much for your time, Kak. And then we can close this event. But before we close this event, I believe there is an announcement from the IMAPA board. So for Manu or anybody who's gonna give the announcement, I give the time.
All right. Thank you so much, Kakak Hendrawan,
Thank you for having
for
me.
your time. Thank you so much. And we have like couple announcements from IMAPA. The first one is about donation to our adik-adik in Duga. The donation is still open for both for our Christmas gift from IMAPA and then from Baku Bantu Foundation, our friends from Baku Bantu Foundation in Indonesia. So we're gonna open until maybe week 1 or 2 of December, and then we're gonna donate them to the adik-adik in Papua. And then the second one, in order to keep our culture and preserve our culture and introduce our culture to the international, we are from IMAPA. We launched one of the if not event, but one of the it's kind of we put in a special day in the first day of the month. So in the first day of the month, we call it Papuan Day. So you guys can wear like any batik Papua and everything about Papua, and then just post it in Instagram or your social media, and we can repost it. It's in order to preserve our culture and then introduce our culture to the international. So I think that's all, and do you guys have any question about donation and Papuan Day? But the poster will be like we will launch the poster about Papuan Day in a couple days. It starts in 1st of December, so just be ready, guys. All right, probably that's it. And thank you so much for your time. And if you have any question, just ask me or text one of the IMAPA board about the donation and then the Papuan Day. Thank you so much, guys.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Good
night,
evening, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.
Take care. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Karendra and everyone.